Yeah, howdy. Once again, a little bit randomness. Since living rather close to the Russian border, it's sometimes interesting to follow flight radar. And this time I didn't have to, because there was this thing flying, and I made a short video of it, and I found the lights which were blinking rather interesting. And it seemed to be just an average, normal little airplane. But nonetheless, I haven't seen an airplane with these kind of lights, and why, like, in the middle of the night there isn't usually airplanes here. But now let's go to something interesting. This I just stumbled across. I haven't read it yet, only the first few lines. Maybe this is not something new, like the old saying, hearing the grass growing and stuff like that. There might be something to it, after all. Stressed plants emit airborne sounds that can be detected from more than 1 meter away. Or a meter. Yeah, that's a studio. What does stressed plant sound like? What does a stressed plant sound like? Yeah, now it makes sense. A bit like bubble wrap being popped. Researchers in Israel report in the journal Cell on March 30th that tomato and tobacco plants that are stressed from dehydration or having their stems severed emit sounds that are comparable in volume to normal human conversation. The frequency of these noises is too high for our ears to detect, but they can probably be heard by insects, other mammals, and possibly other plants. Even in a quiet field, there are actually sounds that we don't hear. Yeah, like very low sounds from under our feet. But anyway, and those sounds carry information, says senior author Lila Hadani, an evolutionary biologist and theoretician at Tel Aviv University. There are animals that can hear these sounds, so there is the possibility that a lot of acoustic interaction is occurring. Yeah, reminds me of a song, Nobody Speak, Nobody Get Joke. But anyway, although ultrasonic vibrations have been recorded from plants before, this is the first evidence that they are airborne, a fact that makes them more relevant for other organisms in the environment. Plants interact with insects and other animals all the time, and many of these organisms use sound for communication. So it would be very suboptimal for plants to not use sound at all, says Hadani. Suboptimal, what a word. The researchers used microphones to record healthy and stressed tomato and tobacco plants, first in a soundproofed acoustic chamber, and then in a noisier greenhouse environment. They stressed the plants via two methods: by not watering them for several days and by cutting their stems. After recording the plants, the researchers trained a machine learning algorithm to differentiate between unstressed plants, thirsty plants, and cut plants. An audio recording of plant sounds. The frequency was lowered so that it is audible to human ears. Now let's have a listen to that. Yeah, this was one of the strangest thing I've ever heard. It would be really interesting to know how a forest sounds like. The team found that stressed plants emit more sounds than unstressed plants. The plant sounds resemble pops and clicks, and a single stressed plant emits around 30 to 50 of these clicks per hour at seemingly random intervals, but unstressed plants emit far fewer sounds. When tomatoes are not stressed at all, they are very quiet, says Hadani. Water-stressed plants began emitting noises before they were visibly dehydrated. Yeah, like, you know, if you would scale it up to a human size, you probably would make some sounds before you look really dehydrated, I guess. If you need water or something to drink. And the frequency of sounds peaked after 5 days with no water before decreasing again as the plants dried up completely. Yeah, no water, no sound. The types of sound emitted differed with the cause of stress. The machine learning algorithm was able to accurately differentiate between dehydration and stress from cutting, and could also discern whether the sounds came from a tomato or tobacco plant. Yeah, Google knows a whole lot of things you probably don't know. Now we have this magnesium forever spin here. A photo of a cactus being recorded. Yeah. I really admire those people who figured that out. The exact mechanisms, or the mechanism, behind these noises is unclear, but the researchers suggest that it might be due to the formation and bursting of air bubbles in the plant's vascular system, a process called cavitation. Yeah, air bubbles. So we have a double layer there. If there is an air bubble within water, or vice versa, there is a charge potential. If there's an air bubble, probably around the air bubble, easy water and stuff like that. Whether or not the plants are producing these sounds in order to communicate with other organisms is also unclear, but the fact that these sounds exist has big ecological and evolutionary implications. It's possible that other organisms could have evolved to hear and respond to these sounds. 100%. Very, very sure, I think. Why? Nature doesn't do things with no purpose. For example, a moth that intends to lay eggs on a plant, or an animal that intends to eat a plant, could use the sounds to help guide their decision. But also we have to take into account the light. Every living being is emitting light. And the moth, if they are flying around in the night, probably there is more light visible from the plants. But anyway, other plants could also be listening in and benefiting from the sounds. We know from previous research that plants can respond to sounds and vibrations. Hadani and several other members of the team previously showed that plants increase the concentration of sugar in their nectar when they hear the sounds made by pollinators. And other studies have shown that plants change their gene expression in response to sounds. If other plants have information about stress before it actually occurs, they could prepare. An illustration of a dehydrated tomato plant being recorded using a microphone. Liana Walt. Yeah, sorry for laughing, but that's a piece of art. Because that's actual science. Yeah, very interesting times we're living in. What Liana Wait. Is it Wait? Liana Wait probably thought when somebody rang up and, hey, could you draw plant, tomato, which is dehydrated with a microphone in front of it. Yeah, actually, now I remember I have to show you still part of a song, which is playing in the radio every now and then here. Sound recordings of plants could be used in agriculture irrigation systems to monitor crop hydration status and help distribute water more efficiently, the authors say. Yeah, probably you need water for that too. There's a water crisis. On the one hand, they are all talking about the droughts, and there's like a whole lot of flooding going on all over the place. Mudslides and much snow and all these kind of things. But anyway, we know that there's a lot of ultrasound out there. Every time you use a microphone, you find that a lot of stuff produces sounds that we humans cannot hear. But the fact that plants are making these sounds opens a whole new avenue of opportunities for communication, eavesdropping, and exploitation of these sounds, says co-senior author Yossi Yovel, a neuroecologist at Tel Aviv University. So now that we now know. So now that we know that plants do emit sounds, the next question is, who might be listening? Says Hadani. We are currently investigating the responses of other organisms, both animals and plants, to these sounds, and we're also exploring our ability to identify and interpret the sounds in completely natural environments. Yeah, this is a song I was talking about just before, because it's Take That. How Deep Is Your Love? You probably know the song. But I found it very interesting when they're singing, because we're living in a world of fools, breaking us down when they all should let us be. Which brings us to William Gilbert, discoverer of the Earth's magnetic field. William Gilbert, pioneering researcher in magnetism, who became England's most distinguished scientist during the reign of Elizabeth I. But why did William Gilbert wait so long to release his book? He answers this in the preface of the book in a sarcastic way. Yeah, that's a picture from screen because it didn't really fit on this. And finally, I remembered that. Maybe I showed this already, I don't know. If I didn't, very good. If I did, doesn't matter. William Gilbert. And this quote is from the year 1600, so it's, 423 years old, about magnetism. But why should I, in so vast an ocean of books, by which the minds of studious men are troubled and fatigued, through which very foolish productions the world and unreasoning men are intoxicated, and puffed up, rave, and create literary broils, and while professing to be philosophers, physicians, mathematicians, and astrologers, neglect and despise men of learning? Why should I say, add aught further to this so perturbed republic of letters and expose this noble philosophy, which seems new and incredible by reason of so many things hitherto unrevealed, to be damned and torn to pieces by the maledictions of those who are either already sworn to the opinions of other men, or are foolish corrupters of good arts, learned idiots, grammatists, sophists, wranglers, and perverse little folk. William Gilbert, on the Magnet, his book from the year 1600, 423 years ago. That's somehow still amazing. Yeah. If you are annoyed or hurt or whatever now after I was reading this quote, blame him and maybe learn something about magnetics, electromagnetics, and stuff like that. Because, for example, weather, just normal weather, everyday weather, the clouds in the sky is plasma, so the whole weather is electromagnetic in nature. If it's raining, snowing, lightning, it's all discharge events, which means there is energy transferred in different ways. And the chaos theory got its start back in the days because of the lack of understanding of the weather. It was just so unpredictable. It was total chaos. Everything happened randomly. And yet, you can see many similar clouds all the time in the sky. There are repetitive patterns and all these kind of things. So it's not random. And as modern science works, how they try to conquer this chaos by mathematics. They need supercomputers, AI, and whatever stuff. If you want to get a meteorologist in Finland, at least, you have to be very good at mathematics. Because it's the only way they see how to conquer the chaos. A huge effort in order to conquer chaos. But after all, if you understand about magnetics and electromagnetics and stuff like that, surface conductivity anomalies, polarity interfaces, cracks in Earth's magnetic field, and stuff like that. Stories about auroras touching the ground and burn people. Then the whole thing doesn't seem to be so chaotic and random anymore. There's just so much going on, so much information. And if you think if we would have had understood weather being electrical in nature 425 years ago, yeah, even the chickens are surprised at what? How much better we could predict weather having 425 years more experience. But anyway, I leave it here. Thanks. Bye.